Well, good morning. It's the appointed hour for the meeting of the MAPS 3 Citizens Advisory Board for September the 27th, 2018. It appears that, Carol, that we have a quorum. Do you agree? We have a quorum, so the meeting is called to order. You have been furnished with copies of the minutes of our previous meeting on August the 23rd. Are there additions or corrections? Shall we approve them? Been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes of the previous meeting. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The minutes are approved. Item 3 on the agenda is the MAPS 3 Revenue and Expenditure Report. David?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You have 3 revenue expenditure.
Excuse me, David. I apologize. There was one thing I wanted to do before we did that. When we got the meeting called to order and approved the minutes, we've had a significant event occur this week, and I wanted to call on Sue Hooper to call this to our attention and the public's attention.
Thank you, Chairman. I just want to acknowledge the passing of our committee member, Pam Henry, and she was on the Trail and Sidewalks Committee. She is a wonderful public servant and advocate for handicapped individuals, and we miss her already and appreciate the service that she's given to our committee and to our city, and I just would love to have that acknowledged by this advisory board.
Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you, Sue. Appreciate that. And ask that that be incorporated in the minutes of the meeting, if you would, please. All right, David, back to the agenda. Item 3.
We have 3 revenue and expenditures reports because the books for the fiscal year have been closed. So first one is for the revenue expenditure report ending June 30th of 2018. For the month, there was $676,144 revenue. For the fiscal year, $76,728,559. And total revenue of $823,836,952. On the expenditures, it's $26,392,138 for the month. Fiscal year, $117,936,592, and total $434,654,919. And then moving on to the period ending July 31st of 2018 for the month, $637,096. Fiscal year, $637,096, and total $824,474,048. On the expenditure side for the month, it's $10,170,010. Fiscal year of the same number, and then for a total of $444,824,928. Then moving on to the period ending August 31st. On the revenue side for the month, $66,850, fiscal year of $703,946, and a total revenue of $824,540,898. On the expenditure side for the month, $9,845,009, fiscal year of $20,015,019, and a total of $454,669,938.
Questions for David? Michael Adams, any comments from our
I guess the one item that kind of caught my attention was that we continue to earn over $500,000 a month in interest, and I don't think those future interest earnings were in the numbers we were previously presented as far as excess funds. So those are continue to be some more funds that come in, and I don't think we've fully were in the reports we had before as to what
right, and that interest has always been in the projected amounts that we've shown you, but the last amounts that we showed you, they actually zeroed that out as of now to be more conservative.
Future interest was not on there. So.
Right, so there could be more money.
There is, and we're spending money, but as long as there's still some in the bank, we'll continue to earn some interest. So.
Well, that's a good thing, Michael.
Good thing,
I
yes.
think that's, we're glad that's happening. All right, then, shall we receive this report? It's been moved and seconded that we approve the report as presented. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The report is received. We have a resolution and item 4 on the agenda. David, would you tell us about that?
Yes, sir. Item 4 is recommend resolution approving change order number 27, MAPS 3, Oklahoma State Fairgrounds Phase 2 New Expo Building, a decrease of $155,784.40, approving maintenance bond number 1 and maintenance bond number 2, approving partial acceptance of the project and placing maintenance bond number 1 into effect, project M3-F002. It was decided that we would do a change order to take out the punch list items that the contractor has not been able to finish, so that we could call the building partially complete. It'll be the building, everything except the roof. We still have some ongoing issues with the roof, so it's still open and will remain open even after approval of this, and the contractor continues to work on that. We have some places that we've identified that's leaking. But on the change order, we have a $60,000 credit for the punch list items, and what our intent is to hire another contractor to go out and finish these items through the bidding process. We have some other items out there that need to be done, and we'll package that all together. Then item number 2 is liquidated damages. So this is a fee for finishing late on the project, and then the failed test credit. It's in the specifications, and it's standard for the city. When we do tests and they fail because the contractor didn't do what he was supposed to do, for instance, if we do a compaction test and the soil wasn't compacted to where it should be and the test fails, they have to pay for the test, and we keep track of those charges. So we have 3 credits on here, and that's what those are for. And this comes with agreement from those that were present at the Fairgrounds Subcommittee. They didn't have a quorum this month.
David, is that just withheld from money that we would otherwise pay them?
Yes, sir.
Or we ask the bonding company to pay it, or how does that work?
No, it's been withheld from their claims,
Okay, all right.
from their contract.
Any questions of David? It's been moved and seconded. We approve the resolution as presented. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The resolution is approved. Item 5, David.
Item 5 is recommend resolution approving change order number 3 and amendment number 3, MAPS 3 Convention Center, another decrease of $1,185.20, project M3-C003. If you recall, one of the alternates for the project was the pedestrian bridge that connects to the hotel. Now we'll still have and this change order removes that pedestrian crossing that goes to the hotel. We will still have the pedestrian connection to the parking garage. So there were 2 connections. This removes the one that goes to the hotel. After a lot of discussions with hotel operator, subcommittee, city staff, it was decided that that the group would prefer that pedestrians be on the street, walking along the street through all the amenities that we will have to get to the convention center. It's just literally across the street, so it's not a far distance. So we have taken that out of the project, but I want to point out, because it was an alternate, the building still will be built so that it can accept the pedestrian connection at a future time. So if in, say, 2 years after they open, they decide that, hey, maybe we did need that pedestrian connection, we can go back and just add it without doing structural changes to the building. Just connects on.
A couple of questions. Yeah, David, I'm surprised by that. I'm happy to hear it. I actually thought that the hotel should have paid for half of it to begin with, if you recall. But, and I get why you're moving it. Makes sense. But if a couple of years from now that is decided to add it back, would money be reserved, MAPS money, to make that happen, or would that come from another funding source at that point?
There has been discussion to keep some money that is already in the convention center account now and keep it and hold it for that purpose.
But we're moving it from the budget?
No, we're just taking it out of the contractor's contract.
Okay, I see. Okay. So the intent is to maintain it, just in case.
Well, we can. And that's something the subcommittee will have to decide if they want to hold on to the money towards the end of the project.
All right.
Well, Sue and I, of course, serve on that subcommittee, and Sue and I serve on that subcommittee, and just want to say to you that this has been something that has been broadly vetted. I've met many times with Omni and others, and this is, it was a matter of much discussion in our subcommittee. There are many people that felt we should do it and others that felt that we shouldn't. Ultimately, we were advised that if we were going to make this connection, we could not do it without the concurrence of Omni receiving it in their building, and they were very strident in their position that they did not want this. Okay. And so one of the reasons, Michael, they didn't want to pay for it was because they didn't want it. And so but I would want you all to take comfort in the fact that we really met with Omni, talked to them, met with a lot of constituents. Certainly Mike Carrier of the Convention Visitors Bureau was part of that discussion. So was Kathy O'Connor. So this is not something that we have taken lightly, and it has been discussed and thought about for a long time, and this is the conclusion we reached. I'll invite Sue to add anything she wants to add. With that, it comes with the recommendation of the subcommittee. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the resolution as presented. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The resolution is adopted. Thank you, David. Item 6.
Item 6 is recommend resolution approving change order number 18, MAPS 3 Senior Health and Wellness Center number 2, an increase of $2,305, project M3-H003. As the operator got into operations of the wellness center, we realized we didn't have any receptacles, electric receptacles, on top of the counter in the demonstration kitchen so that they can use small items. So we've added those receptacles here. It's $2,305. This comes with the approval from the subcommittee.
I wasn't at subcommittee yesterday, that's why I hesitated.
You second it? All right. It's been moved and seconded. We adopt the resolution. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The resolution is approved. David, item 7.
Recommend resolution accepting MAPS 3 Trail Improvements Phase 2, Project 1, I-44 West, Will Rogers Trail, and placing the maintenance bond into effect, Project M3-T002A. So this is one of the sections of the Will Rogers Trail. It's complete. We're ready to accept it. And I know the citizens have already been using it, but we're ready to take it on.
How wonderful. Sue?
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve it. Is there further discussion? Well, I do want to say, well done. Congratulations, Sue, and the subcommittee. This is a real benchmark day for us, and we're really appreciative of the great work you guys have done bringing us to this point.
Thank you.
Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The resolution is approved. Item 8, David.
Item 8 is recommend resolution accepting MAPS 3 Trail Improvements Phase 2, Project 2, I-44 West, Will Rogers Trail, and placing maintenance bond into effect, Project M3-T002. So this is another section of the Will Rogers Trail. If you remember, we broke it into 3 contracts. So we're ready to accept this one also.
Been moved and seconded that we approve it. Is there further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The resolution is approved. Item 9, David.
Item 9 is recommend resolution approving amendment number 9, MAPS 3 Will Rogers Trail, Phase 2, Project 3, increase of $13,747.03, accepting the project and placing the maintenance bond into effect, Project M3-T002B. So this is the third section of that trail. We had some quantities that we needed to reconcile on this, and that's why you see that there is an amendment on this one, and there weren't on the other 2, but it's essentially the same thing with just reconciliation of quantities.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the resolution. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The resolution is approved. Item 10, David.
Item 10 is recommend resolution approving change order number 1 and amendment number 1, MAPS 3 Trail Improvements, Phase 3, Project 1, Lake Draper Trail, increase of $106,480.45, Project M3-T003. So now we move out to the Draper Trail. There are some things that we've added out there and some challenges. One of them is a $10,000 time extension, and that's for adding on a parking lot out there. Then there's quantity adjustments as we come across various things out there. This also comes with a recommendation from the subcommittee.
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded that we approve the resolution. Is there further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The resolution is approved. Item 12, David.
Recommend resolution approving change order number 1 and amendment number 1, MAPS 3 Trail Improvements, Phase 3, Project 3, Lake Draper Trail, increase of $164,237.31, Project M3-T003B. Very similar to the previous item. Construction continues out there at Lake Draper. We have all 3 contracts underway, and this accounts for some additional quantities. We had to extend, I believe this is the one where we extended drainage structures. Yes, it is.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the resolution. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Well, busy week for trails. Item 12, David.
Item 12 is recommend resolution approving engineering contract funding agreement with the Oklahoma Department of Transportation, JP number 33-27505, state job piece number TAP3-3275005 AG. Will Rogers Trail Amenities, $41,534.45, project M3-T004. If you recall, the Trails and Sidewalks Subcommittee and this board, and then ultimately council agreed that we would match some funding for an ODOT grant for these amenities, and this is part of that. It's not additional money, it's money that's already been allocated, but it's approving of the contract.
I just want to say we're really proud that we could do this, and we thank staff, the MAP staff, for helping us find this additional funding to really leverage what we can do for amenities. So move approval.
Is there a second? Been moved and seconded that we approve the resolution as presented. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. It is approved. Item 13, David.
Item 13 is recommend resolution approving change order number 5 and amendment number 7, MAPS 3 Sidewalk Phase 4, Project 1 improvements, increase of $179,901.52, project M3-W004. There were some pull boxes, which are the boxes that the traffic signal wires go into, and then the quantity adjustments through the amendment. So those are items that had bid prices, and we're just adjusting it, and the bulk of that is additional driveways. As we got out there, we find that driveways don't conform to ADA requirements, or they have other issues, and we ended up replacing more than what we'd originally intended. This comes with the approval from the subcommittee.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the resolution. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The resolution is adopted. Item 14, David.
Item 14 is recommend resolution approving change order number 2 and amendment number 5, MAPS 3 Sidewalks Phase 4, Project 2 improvements, increase of $53,950, project M3-W004A. Again, sidewalk project, reconciling and updating our quantities through the amendment process.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the resolution as presented. Is there further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The resolution is approved. Item 15.
Item 15 is recommend resolution approving amendment number 8 to contract with Brookville Equipment Corporation for the MAPS 3 modern streetcar vehicles, increase of $76,959, project M3-S005. The main part of this amendment is to allow some equipment that will prevent or help prevent the pantograph, which is the piece of equipment that touches the wire whenever they come off wire, to keep it from still being up and hitting the bridge. So there's some new equipment that's being put on here, and it's pretty much state-of-the-art equipment we're seeing. This comes with the approval of the subcommittee.
Any questions for David about this?
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve this. Is there further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. It is approved. Item 15, David? Item 16, I guess it is, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Item 16 is resolution approving change order number 15 and amendment number 14, MAPS 3 Modern Streetcar Mainline, increase of $559,720.55, project M3-S007. We're getting real close to finishing the project, and as we get close, there's a lot of things that come up, just like with the sidewalks and the trails that we just talked about in the streetcar, even more so with the downtown environment. But you can see that there are a lot of items on here, and they just add up as we go through here, just things we need to finish the project. This was discussed at length with the subcommittee, and it comes with their approval.
Been moved and seconded. I did want to tell you all something that I thought was really fun. I was coming down to a meeting this week, maybe Tuesday, and as I came down Sheridan, the streetcar pulled right in front of me. It's the first time I'd had to deal with the new streetcar on the track. I could see it wasn't going to change lanes. And so I did. But it was a real aha moment, realizing how far along we are, Doug, and how great things are going to see. And it was particularly significant to me and to Cecilia because it was Millwood blue and it was OCU blue. So we love that blue streetcar that came around the curve. And I think it's just, as they test, we'll see more of them, but I'll just say it's really great to see how far we've come and how great we're doing on this. Okay, we've had a motion. Yes.
You pulled out in front of that, Reverend Cooper will tell you could have gotten a pretty significant fine.
Well, actually, I pulled in behind it, and I told David when I got here, I was sorry I ran into the back of the first car. And wonderful David, believe me, he thought I was, but I was only teasing. Okay, with that aside, we have a motion and a second to approve this item, do we not? Is there further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. It is approved. Item 17, David.
Item 17 is recommend resolution renewing the contract with A&A Maintenance Incorporated, MAPS 3 Downtown Public Park Mowing, Weed Eating and Weed Control and Debris Removal, MAPS 3 Lower Park, for an additional one-year term, July 15, 2018, and ending July 14, 2019, retroactive to July 15, 2018, project M3-P009. We've purchased all the property in the lower park. It's now our responsibility to keep it up. Demolition is supposed to start next week on the remaining buildings. So we need this contract in place so that we can keep it mowed and meet city ordinances.
Do we have a total for the contract? It doesn't have a dollar amount on it.
I don't actually have that with me. Does any of my staff know what the total of that contract is? I can get that for you. I don't have a total. It's renewable each year, so it only extends on for a year at a time.
So the contract would be for whatever it was last year? It wouldn't exceed whatever
Right.
you paid them last
right.
year?
Right, and it's really on an on-call basis. they don't go out there except when we call them and say, hey, we need you to go mow
Okay, so it's
the park.
so it's per mow. Okay.
Right.
All right.
Other questions? Further discussion? Do we have, that's been moved and seconded, has it? It has not. It has not. Is there a second? All right, it's been moved and seconded. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. It is opposed, no. It is approved. That brings us to item 18. David?
Item 18 is recommend resolution approving the allocation of $7,941,780 from excess collections and/or interest of the city or the Oklahoma City Capital Improvement Sales Tax Fund for additional improvements to the MAPS 3 Oklahoma River project. As you recall, I believe it was last month, we went over a lot of the desires of the subcommittees, and we talked about timing and need and ability to increase revenue, and we feel like this is one of those opportunities because the river is so seasonal. I'm bringing it to you now so that as they go off season, if we choose to do this work, we can get it done before they open again in the spring and help them become more self-sufficient out there.
Thank you.
David, can you talk a little bit about what the projected impact will be in income, adding additional improvements?
Yes, sir. Mike Knopp is here, and
Mike, we'd invite you to come forward. Mike is not only the executive director of the Boathouse Foundation, but is also a member of our MAPS 3 River Subcommittee that Dee chairs. So with your concurrence, Dee, Mike, welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Well, I've got a presentation here I will go through fairly quickly. There's a lot of slides, but I can go through it. I did want to establish a couple of things as we start off. First of all, well, it is that time of year. I just want to mention that. This is a picture from last night, getting ready for the Oklahoma Regatta Festival, turning the lights on. Obviously, it was a MAPS 3 project, and this starts on Friday, tomorrow. So we've had a lot of rain lately, which has been one of our challenges, but we are ready to go, and we're going to have well over 1,000 athletes come to Oklahoma City as a result of the improvements we've made. And interesting, I just add this, is that because of all the rain not only we've received, but across the country, many other events have been canceled over the last couple of weeks, which means we're having an infusion of a lot more people coming to our event because of that, because we have such great control with our dams, and we can recover fairly quickly. So this is the list that we have, the subcommittee has discussed, and obviously through some direction of the Oklahoma City Boathouse Foundation. This represents several different components, several different concepts to help advance our sustainability initiatives while also improving things at the river that we feel like are really critical and timely. Obviously, as a nonprofit organization, we're tasked with maintaining the entire riverfront in the Boathouse District. We do not receive a subsidy, so this is important that these items on here, there's a revenue generation aspect that allows us to do all of the things that we do in the community and to really advance the Oklahoma River to be really a differentiator for Oklahoma City that it has become. So, and I referenced that. I really do think it is one of Oklahoma City's key differentiators. We hear this all the time in terms of people coming to Oklahoma City, companies that are being recruited here, people moving here. Our recent outdoor retail show that came to Oklahoma City surprisingly when they could have gone to Denver or Boulder or Asheville or other outdoor towns, and they came here, and I think it's really changing perceptions of Oklahoma City. And the key here, and this is referenced on some of the media that we've received, like the CBS News story, that nobody else has this. No other city in America has a river like we have with our Olympic training site and all the amenities and the world-class boathouses and the Whitewater Center and all the adventure attractions. It truly is a unique thing in our backyard And so we want to embrace that and keep taking that to the next level and working off that. So it's all about return on investment. Everything that we've done at the river, starting with our ditch to where we've come today, and 15 years, I think, has been pretty dramatic, from the Oklahoma River Boathouse District and River Sport Adventure Park. And I just wanted to go through a few things, just kind of underscore that. We did do an economic impact study over the last several months and determined that at least $23 million is the annual economic impact, direct economic impact. That does not include the value of those perception changes in companies relocating or people coming here because of, we had a video that was seen by over 6 million people from around the world, and so there's a lot of those kind of intangible benefits. But $23 million direct economic impact off a $7 million operating budget that the Boathouse Foundation has every year, and a $90 million private investment. It's one of the, obviously, the power of MAPS is how the public investment has inspired private investment, and the river has been I think, a great representation of that, with all the boathouses being privately funded and all of, many of the events and programs. And then the Olympic training site, I just want to mention that we are the only river in America to have the Olympic rings, and it does come at a cost. We have to maintain programs, athlete training, all these facilities, but it is a significant distinction that we have as a city to have this it's the most powerful brand in the world. So I did want to kind of underscore that.
On ROI, is that for how many years is anticipated?
So 23 million, so
How many years?
For about 15 years since we've really started building the boathouses. The first boathouse opened in 2005. So, and then I mentioned the economic impact study, and I wanted to go in and just kind of reference all of the things that we do that generate revenue. It supports this mission at the river, and it involves many, many different components, from our visually impaired rowing programs and adaptive programs to our first responders. We're working with OKC Respond. You can see all the police cadets. They use our facilities for free, and we provide training for mental health and physical health, training through partners, and we do that in the Devon Boathouse. Of course, our Swiftwater program and the Whitewater Center has been very, very well received. Many different youth programs. This is a picture of a program we're doing with Oklahoma City Police Department, really a leadership program. We connected to over 10,000 kids last year through all of our outreach youth programs. And then our adaptive, programs is really a new freedom people have when they get on the water and in a boat. So I think it's very powerful. We want to continue to expand that. All of those things are free to the public that we offer. And then I think there's this really important part about inspiring an active culture in Oklahoma City. I know when this wasn't the case where kids had so much access to the types of resources that we have here, very world-class resources, and how that can really change their perception, how that can change their lifestyle, their mindset, being active and getting outside from behind the computer and video games. So this is the Wounded Warrior program we have, and so this, kind of like all of our corporate and community programs, there's a lot of great health and wellness benefits that come through getting people together, but also many other things, just from learning to work together. And there'll be people racing tomorrow night representing companies and groups from across Oklahoma City, including our police and fire, have rowing teams now, so it'll be a lot of fun. And I mentioned changing lives. I just want to kind of emphasize that. These are kids in our youth league from across the metro. We provide this program at no cost to many of the schools, and they come down every week, a couple times a week. We provide them coaches, equipment. We've had over $3 million in college scholarships offered to our participants in our programs. There's so many opportunities for kids, and we got world-class facilities. We want to really emphasize to the community that we need to take advantage of that. So this culture that is developing about the outdoor culture is really powerful in that, this is an extreme thing you see here, obviously, but the idea that people are coming here and doing this in Oklahoma City, and we're being on the map along with, Colorado and Utah and outdoor destinations of the world, I think is very powerful, and it does inspire kind of a cultural shift in terms of our outdoor culture. And then to go along with that, we are going to be building the first Oklahoma City fitness court. Doug Cupper has taken a lead in bringing this to Oklahoma City. We're going to build the first here. It's under construction right now. It'll open November 3rd. There'll be a free amenity for people to use. I just emphasize that and kind of that public-private partnerships that are occurring, and then a new fire pit area and a bike park, and all these things are amenities that have been privately funded. I wanted to mention guest feedback. This is how we kind of came up with some of the things that we want to advance, because we see thousands of people that come throughout the year, and there's things we know we'd like to improve upon, and as a nonprofit we can only do so much, and this is why we've packaged what we have here before you. But people always mention the water features. We've got a world-class water feature. There is, top-notch. We get rave reviews. TripAdvisor is really powerful in terms of what people say, but it's real, it's authentic, and you have to be of a certain age to go through it. And so we originally had a plan for kids' water features, and we did have to value engineer those out. But we think that's very important, because it did really kind of cut back on our demographic that was important to the overall impact and to the financial aspect as well. Not just that, even with what we're proposing with the water features, they're not even necessarily going to be paid for people. Some will be free. But the idea is that parents will now come down and then participate in activities while their kids can play, I think is very important. And you can see that in that quote and how that, and so shade and benches and things like that, more attractions. People continue, they love what we have, and just continuing to advance and add additional features. I threw this in, we get so many comments, but zip lining and seeing Oklahoma City in a different way. Zip line has been very powerful. We can only do 30 people an hour on our zip line, okay, with the throughput. And when you have 1,000 people who come and raft on a day, it makes it very difficult. A lot of people leave disappointed that they can't, and then that affects, again, the overall financial performance, because we can't get people through that. And so we really feel like that's why we've added that to an element. And then we added evening events that are free to the public and amenities that will support that more. Bucket list, it really is intergenerational. People from all ages are coming. Senior citizens are rafting. And you see this, they're doing our jumping features. So this is not limited to kids and millennials. This is for all ages, and I just wanted to really emphasize that. The outdoor industry feedback, this is really, really powerful stuff here, and it is, when you see these magazines say more spills and thrills than the industry has ever seen in one place, or our demo at the River Sport Rapids exceeded anything offered in Salt Lake City or in Denver. This is going throughout the outdoor industry, and this is changing perceptions, and this will add opportunity that will fill up our convention center in the future with events like this. And so we filled up the current convention center with an outdoor show that never thought they would come to Oklahoma City, but did. And they're going to come back now, because they got these tremendous reviews. But this was the game changer, is what we could do at the river by doing flat water and white water activities all in one spot. It's what we said when we came up with this idea. This is unique, and this is a differentiator. And so they would like to bring climbing to the mix, which is a whole nother realm of the outdoor industry. So adding climbing features is strategic there. Access to the river from the Whitewater Center is important, so you can really have a better interaction between the two, which is part of the projects that we've emphasized. So that leads me to the strategic request here that includes, it has really four, I would say, main components that go behind what we're presenting here. Is we want to increase throughput and enhance sustainability. That's just critical as a nonprofit. We want to be able to get more people through, and it all goes to our sustainability. Extend the guest stay and enhance their experience. The longer they stay, the better it is for the operation. Create new revenue opportunities and attract and retain these events, and then elevate Oklahoma City and our outdoor health and wellness and fitness culture. And so that includes many different components. The first round here that I'm going to share is the Special Event and Leadership Center. new adventure attractions, and whitewater improvements. I want to mention the ROI on these elements and emphasize this. So the second floor of the Whitewater Center is incomplete. It's roughed in. We believe we could, at a very minimum, every year, exceed through over $300,000 in new revenue through a program, a leadership program that we would bring to the, and this would increase every year, as well as a new tenant that would be involved as an Olympic sport program that kind of goes along with the other Olympic training that we do, and then a naming right that we believe that will happen if we do this. The adventure attractions would be at least $400,000 of new revenue with the new zip lines, and then also naming opportunities. The whitewater improvements are a little different. It's actually saving us money through more efficiency in the pump system. And one very powerful thing is the optics and the presentation of the rapids itself. We think that has a real financial impact. So these first round, this shows of the locations, 1, 2, and 3 of where these different proposals would reside. And then the second floor event center of the Whitewater Center includes, again, just making it suitable for a leadership program, but also just as an event center. It would be the largest in the Boathouse District. Other operational improvements that are critical, we realize through operating is we need to make some improvements to the restaurant food service area to allow us more throughput there and to have better interaction with the outside. There's a lot of wet people that come through River Sport Rapids, and it makes a big mess. And so having some ways to deal with that is really important, and how we control our retail spaces. We've learned these things through when you have these days in the summer that are just packed. We could make things a lot better. The second floor, that's what it looks like today. Again, we think it can be a really very powerful venue for the district in terms of all the things we can do up there, and how that will, I think, even from and I just put a few slides here to emphasize this leadership program. This is very unique in that Oklahoma City, again, is the only place in the world to have a whitewater center, rowing, Olympic training, ropes course, all in one spot in a downtown area. So the idea of these metaphorical experiences about teamwork and leadership and with the facilitators and partners, there's nowhere else like it. So if you think of the Disney Institute, this would be something similar to that would attract corporate executives to Oklahoma City, which is another good, economic impact over time that I think can occur. We've got a lot of validation for this, so we feel very strongly this will happen. We just need to get this facility complete. The other thing that is very powerful I want to emphasize, again, no one has the Olympic rings like we do, so the authenticity of what we can provide is very unique. There's, again, a lot of lessons to be learned from all these different experiences. But the thing that I think is the real magic here is, while we can provide this to corporate executives, this same program can be applied to our kids. And so when you have these resources and you can apply it to Oklahoma City youth and bring kids through this program, I think it will be another one of these game-changing opportunities for Oklahoma City. And so I wanted to emphasize what that could be. And then this is kind of a breakdown. We think it's very conservative in terms of where it could go in the future. And then the second thing would be the zip line. We have determined that, again, throughput is critical on this, and so there is new technology that allows you to have a longer zip line experience without a lot of, the other part is staffing costs, minimizing staffing, and then utilizing those structures for climbing features, which I mentioned are also important. All of these enhance the guest experience and keep people in the venue longer, and also create additional revenue opportunities. And beyond all that, puts us on another level. The Whitewater has been a game changer from truly unique, world-class, and having a zip line of this caliber will be another one of those game changer things that will drive people, get people to come to Oklahoma City. I'll remind, this is an original rendering of the Whitewater Center with a climbing feature. It is a centerpiece that was value engineered out. This is a key component to the Charlotte venue when we studied that, and we feel like the climbing aspects are really important. They complement the Whitewater really well, and this is an overview of how the revenue can grow through these additional features that could be added here that we're proposing. The filtration and the capacitors, I want you to look at the top pictures. The picture on the left is how it looks today. The picture on the right is how it looks when we do a little magic and we put some dye in the whitewater, and how we've done that to try to change, to do what we can to make it look better, but the issue is that only lasts a couple hours, okay? So we had to do it for some of these big events, but it really makes us cringe when we are showcasing this world-class venue and people have a perception of the water that's not accurate. The water's totally clean, it's treated. We spend a lot on chemicals, and you smell it, but it just looks like that because of the dust and dirt, and our filtration can't keep up with it. So there is a way to do that. I want to show you this picture. This is in Charlotte from just a couple of weeks ago. Hurricane Florence came through and dumped a whole lot of water on the Whitewater Center, and one day, after the hurricane, this is how it looked. It's because they have a new filtration system that was able to remove all that runoff into the Whitewater Center, returned it. It's really a really almost crystal clear water when you see it on a given day, and that system is out there now. We think that's really important to the optics of the center. But also another aspect is the capacitors allowing us to have a softer start when we turn these big pumps on to allow us to, we think that'll save the Boathouse Foundation about $100,000 a year with those capacitors. We think the visuals of this are really valuable in terms of how we use and how many people may be deterred by seeing the color of the water. This is some information on the capacitors. And then the second round, I want to mention the water play features, the theater, the water, additional paving and trails and shade. All through the venue, these elements would be sprinkled. They're all very important. The water features are critical in terms of, I'd mentioned before. The bottom picture on the right was the model we created. We always thought of the Whitewater Center before we built it. We always wished we could have had that, as a play feature, but we had to throw it away. Essentially, it was not practical to move. But to do something that allows kids to interact and be interpretive, and the Gathering Place in Tulsa has done this very well. So things that will engage kids and their parents, and climbing things without a harness that allows to have higher throughput, and again these climbing features. We feel like I can't emphasize how many comments we get about this. And it gets hot here, and people want to get wet. We just got to figure out how to do that. And then the river access. There is a place in the River Sport Rapids that's prepared. That is the spot that we had planned on making a connection to the river. This was emphasized by the Paddle Sport Retailers Show as very important to the future because they want to centralize everything in the Whitewater Center. That would come with dock and access, ADA access, but that would really connect. We're also thinking ahead. That'll help connect when the Cultural Center opens and people can paddle back and forth to both venues. So having that done now, I think, is important. And then additional projects, the cabana and shade structures. Shade is really important out there. We don't have tall, mature trees, so more shade is, and then ways that people can, we need some additional food outlets and to maybe keep people from always walking through in their wet clothes through the Whitewater, some outside facilities like the cabanas. And then landscaping, we've had some landscaping that hasn't made it through the last couple of years, so enhancing that and providing some improvements. And then security and lighting. This is not, we would love to light the whole Whitewater at some point. This is to add some additional lighting. We had an event at the Paddle Sports Show in the evening, and it was a huge success. We'd like to do more of that. It would extend our day a little bit and have some security cameras out there as well in the parking lot, we think is important. So that's a quick overview of what's represented in our proposal. We think, again, it all represents a return on investment, very important for the Boathouse Foundation. And ultimately, I think it's for the citizens, it's going to be really well received and exciting. And we're doing things like this week in the Regatta Festival and River Scream, which is a new seasonal event. We're trying to extend the season by doing these different things that will help, again, with the ultimate sustainability. And I think overall, just the people's excitement and perception of the river as a major Oklahoma City asset and game changer. So in summary, we see the overall impact, which includes the Paddle Sports Show, is about a $2 to $3 million economic impact annually for Oklahoma City, which is a new thing we'd like to keep. You saw the impact from each of these elements. We think each year it's at least $3.5 million. And for the Boathouse Foundation, This is not including naming rights, which will be obviously important as well, but it will make a huge difference as we look at trying to keep this and sustain it and recognize that we are a major MAPS project and we do not receive an operating subsidy, so allowing us to have these things that will be powerful for the operations in the future. So with that, I'll take any questions you might have.
Get your question answered.
Most of my questions were answered, but I have a couple. One is, how much are, if any, of the climbing activities are indoors or covered?
That's a good question. They will be covered. We do envision a shade structure with the climbing features. You may have seen there's a net climbing aspect which would be enclosed. Now they're not actually indoors. We would love to have an indoor facility at some point. That's a whole nother level, but they would be shaded. So.
Then also on the pumping system, filtration system, that's about $93,000 investment or so. Is that what I understood?
That was what. There will be additional fees with regard to other design and maintenance or installation fees, from what I understand. That was just the cost of the system itself, but that is correct.
Okay. All right.
Cecilia?
In regards to the additional cabana, and you said that give us at least one more space where food is offered. I'm trying to look back at the map.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. I was trying to find it in there because I'm just thinking about and visiting like how crowded it is if you go on a hot summer day.
Yeah.
And adding one cabana, I'm like, is that enough to take the pressure off of that? Or are we going to be having this conversation again in next year?
Well, part of the operational improvements, I maybe didn't get in as much detail there. We feel like there's things that we will do operationally to the bar area and to the food service that will greatly improve the access and capacity, which we think will be a big help. There's another, in our covered seating area, we're going to improve that as well as we propose as part of this. And we also envision some mobile carts as well that would go along with this, but that cabana would just be another major hub for that. Yeah.
So what you're saying is you're going to improve access to food everywhere.
Everywhere, yes.
And then the cabana is just an additional location.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thanks.
Yeah.
Other questions for Michael?
I have some questions. Tom, how much money, if this is approved today, how much money will be remain left in the excess funds interest?
I'm going to say about $21 million in round numbers.
And before we gave money to the streetcar last month, and I think we already took some money to give to the river, what was that total before we did that?
We had 30.
About 32, is that correct?
32, pushing 33 after we got the update, and then you gave the streetcar $4 million.
And then what will the total be between the two asks from the river? Roughly.
11.
This is 8.
12. Well, yeah, but you're talking about the streetcar and the river.
I could. Yeah, so it'd be, of
I was
course,
trying to remember the
yeah,
previous
yeah.
river allocation.
Let me tell you my concern. First of all, Mike is such a great presenter. Hearing that presentation and looking at just this project, it came to me. Well, wow, yeah, this makes all the sense in the world. I can see why this is needed. But then I take a second look and I think about that a year or more ago, when we had this discussion about how to use these excess funds, I thought it was the consensus of this board that it was important to see all the subcommittees' needs, so that we would have the opportunity to weigh which of those projects we thought we wanted to fund. It seems to me what we were doing, someone is deciding to put on the agenda items that obviously someone feels are more important than others. I abstained last month, Nathaniel, you may recall, from the streetcar, based on that very argument, that it seemed to me that we needed to look, as I thought we agreed to do, at all of the projects, and I abstained. I'm going to vote against this today on that same argument. I don't know how we can continue to, our role as an advisory board, it seems to be, is to give the council advice and our experience working with all of our subcommittees. But if they're only hearing the needs of a couple of subcommittees because that's all we had the opportunity to vote on, I'm not sure they're getting the full picture of all the needs of all the subcommittees and all the projects. And that really concerns me. One of the things that I think might be helpful for me, I've been knocking a lot of doors. Nathaniel, most of you know Nathaniel and I are both running for city council this year. And I've been knocking on a lot of doors. And the ward I'm in may be, of course, unique. But the people that I'm talking to, when they talk to me and we talk about maps, they feel really strongly that we needed to be doing more in the neighborhoods. And people are bringing up sidewalks and trails as some of the needs, the more important needs of how we should be using MAPS money. Not one person has, they have brought up the park, not one person has brought up how important it is to them that we enhance the river so that project can do better than what it's apparently doing in terms of maintaining the resources necessary to keep it in operation. I would like to suggest, and Reverend Cooper, I would hope you would even bring this to the council, that we hold off on this. But I also would like to suggest that, we did a poll, the chamber did a poll before we ever started MAPS that looked at all of the projects in MAPS. And the more popular projects were not the larger projects that are being funded. I would like to see what a poll says the voters in Oklahoma City would like to do with the remainder of these dollars. And I'm not suggesting that that in itself be the deciding factor in determining how these monies are spent, but I am suggesting that I think it would be an important piece of information as we go forth. But what we're doing today is deciding that this particular project is more important than some of the other projects. And maybe it turns out to be that way. But I don't think we're doing the process justice by this is a zero-sum game, by taking X number of dollars out of those excess funds and then deciding, well, okay, now the remaining dollars, here's what's left, now what we decide to do. It just doesn't seem appropriate to me.
Can I add something? Sure. Last month, we did bring a comprehensive presentation and showed all the needs that all the subcommittees wanted. And what I heard discussed here at this board was that they wanted to make sure that they continue to enhance the projects that we have, and if there was needs that were more immediate than others, that we should go ahead and go with those. And we have a seasonal need, and Mike showed you his need for the area down there. Then I'd also like to comment that Better Streets and Safer Cities, the sales tax extension, is putting tens of millions of dollars into new trails and sidewalks in addition to what we've done. So that is one of the things that we have to take into consideration, I think.
And Mike, that's a very valid point. Believe me, that's a very valid. And with that in mind, that's exactly what I'd like to see. I'd like to be able to see on paper where we are in giving all that. But rather than just, again, we're voting today just on one project and using funds for this one project. I would like to see that broke down so we can see. I know we used bond money for sidewalks when we were earlier this year, or perhaps it was even last year. But I think it's important to see how all these monies, what is being dealt with, not just with MAPS monies. And I hear what you're saying, but we're about MAPS. We're not about better streets, sidewalks, and that extra dollars. I understand that. having said that, I would still nevertheless think that should be taken into consideration. But I'd like to see it on paper so we can measure and take all of that into consideration. But again, what we're doing today is deciding that this particular project is more important than some of the other projects, it seems to me. And so we're reducing those dollars left for the remaining projects. And I just don't think that that's the appropriate way to go forward. I'd like to see how the voters and the people who we're going to ask to vote on a MAPS 4 get their input more. So I will shut up after that.
Michael?
I think those are valid points, but I think I came away from the last meeting with a little bit different opinion, because as I recall, we did have a presentation of all the wants and needs, and I think after we looked at all the available resources, the general conclusion was that we would be able to probably meet most all of those needs. And so I think as a committee, we kind of decided to move forward with those, and we looked to the MAPS office to tell us, set priorities, and tell us, on a timing standpoint, what needs to be done now and what can be deferred later. And as I mentioned earlier today, we continue to collect $500,000 a month in interest, and so those numbers, those available funds are, continue to come in. And so I left with the idea that we felt that the needs that were expressed by the different subcommittees and the lists we had were all things that we could probably be able to address, and that we just needed to start doling out the money we had and try to get some of these things done.
Dee?
Since the beginning on this project, we have had to chip away and chip away and chip away at things that we felt we could barely do without, but we had to because of the expense. This is not a building. This is something so unique, it was just impossible to be able to know what the needs were, to know what the response was from the world, from the athletic world, from the community. And these are things that, like David said, can be done over the winter while it's out of commission. And it seems appropriate that we should go ahead, and our committee is very gung-ho about taking care of all these things that Mike has told us about. So with that in mind, our committee would like to go ahead with this, vote yes today.
And Dee, I understand that. And that's part of the issue, I think, that all of the subcommittees, you're going to be partial to the subcommittee that you serve on. I understand all that. But nevertheless, what we're doing today is reducing that pie. And we are saying with this vote that this project is considered one of the most important ones. The other trails and sidewalks, the dollar amount isn't on the agenda. Wellness centers isn't on the agenda. So that's what we're doing, just so we're clear on that. That's what this vote seems to me to be saying, that we decided some of these projects are more important. And they may turn out to be that way, but it seems to be not appropriate to say, okay, this is the important thing, and the rest of the projects kind of figure out what you're going to do with the rest. And this time I am going to say that's it, Thomas.
Well, I would say I see it quite differently. Oh, I'm sorry, Sue. Go ahead.
I have just two comments to make. Number one is when I worked at Lake Park Elementary, we were part of one of the schools that had a rowing team. And this is an elementary school. We rowed at school with equipment, and then went down to Overholser, and then eventually went down to the Cox Center and did a competition there. And that whole entire time, the kids said, we never knew that we could do this. It really made a difference for some kids. So I just want to add that it's already impacting our students. The whitewater facility and the rowing and river sports and paddle sports, those are new to us. This is something we don't know about. So we're being educated and we're coming along. Every time that I've been in charge of a school staff, I have brought them down to the finish line and held a professional development meeting there at the finish line so that they could see our city from a different perspective. And always that perspective is, wow. And even people that have been to the river, from that perspective, it's very different. So we're going through some changes, and because of MAPS 3, we've got this opportunity. And then just a question, Mike, because, you know, capacitor sounds like Back to the Future for me, but is it possible to get rid of our chocolate water? Because, you know, we don't have the colored dirt that where I grew up, Minnesota has, or that, you know, North Carolina has. So I mean, maybe obviously we need this, but maybe we also need to embrace it because it's really good for your skin and your hair. I don't know, you know.
It's a good
Whatever.
marketing strategy.
Anyway.
Yeah, I didn't never thought of that, but yeah. We believe it will, and the reason for this is a couple things. Number one, we did, when we cleaned it extensively over last winter.
Right.
When we turned the water on, it looked pretty good. It wasn't crystal clear like you saw, but our filtration just can't handle the level of the fine micron, small dust particles that we receive. But Charlotte had a similar situation. They're not Oklahoma, but they never had clear water, and they provided, there's a new type of, it's like a sand filtration system, and it really does capture a lot of that very fine, you know, those fine particles. And we've talked to people in the oil and gas industry. They clean, you know, water. We've talked to all different, because this is a unique application, and all we've been told that as long as we get the right kind of filtration, it will work. I will tell you, one of the things that we struggle with, again, is our wind, of course, and we didn't make that any easier this year. We had helicopter rescue training in the Whitewater, which stirred things up, which is why it's a little browner than it probably should be. But this will certainly help us keep up with it more, and it's a tremendous effort for our staff. We built the largest pool vacuum in the world. I mean, really. I mean, it's this huge pool vacuum, and it is a monster to try to go in there, and it's very labor intensive. And even when you do that, and then you have a big wind, it feels like you didn't achieve anything.
Yeah.
So this will allow us to keep up. We feel strongly it'll work. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I had a question. So I was recalling last month, too, and my recollection was similar to Michael's in terms of the dollars. When you added up all the projects and we looked at the dollars that were left, also considering other pots of money, you know, there's some bond money and there's some other, there's some federal grant money that could come to bear on some of that. It did seem, I recall that it seemed like everything would work, everything would fit within the available money. So my question is it a safe assumption that those other pots of money, I mean, I know we don't control that, but just out of curiosity, is it a good assumption that those other pots of money would be applicable to fill in those gaps?
Where some of that was coming from in the calculations was hopefully savings out of the convention center with it coming in so low, and you know, they're restricted to just 10% like everybody else is on their change order, so there's $20 million in that possibly could be moved out, but the subcommittee's being very cautious with their project also and want to make sure that it gets done, but I think at a later period, maybe a year, maybe 18 months, they might start feeling a little more comfortable to let some of that go, but you'd have to ask the chairman of that subcommittee.
Well, I'm sorry, go ahead, Cecilia.
I would be remiss if I did not also comment just in regards to the value of river sports. Being in a district where I have kids who would never have access to rowing. They wouldn't even know about rowing if it weren't for the program that came out to the schools and introduced our kids to rowing. And I think we're going into our 4th year. We're planning on being state champions as well. There is no such trophy, but we're going to make up one. And actually, I think I met the rowing coach and the kids the other day, and I think I'm about 14, 15 strong this year, which has been one of our biggest teams. And so it has done a good job in regards to making sure there's an outreach, and it's providing opportunities for kids who would not otherwise even have an idea or a clue about the sport, and they do it at zero cost to Millwood. And so I just wanted to add that comment. And just in regards to the dollars, I understand exactly where Michael is in regard to all of the projects being looked at fairly, and every subcommittee having the opportunity to present what they feel like their additional needs might be. But I also remember, just like you two, I think we came to a point to where we felt kind of confident toward the end of the meeting that there might be an opportunity for everything to be funded. Having said that, I think the longer that we draw out identifying those needs or putting a cap, if you will, on those needs, the more needs we're going to find, right? We're always going to want something more. And so to that end, I feel like as each subcommittee is prepared to present a proposal, that it's incumbent upon us to go ahead and decide to move on those.
Anyone else? Well, I just wanted to say I'm looking at it quite differently than Michael does. I respect his opinion highly, but I'm not voting for this because I think it's more important at all. I didn't vote last month for the extension for the rail car because I thought it was more important. I did it because I thought it was in the best interest of all of the projects. And I was very much persuaded by Michael Adams' point last month at the meeting after we saw what every subcommittee had suggested and how much money we had. We knew, and then we heard from the Convention Center subcommittee report that there would be even more money available from that after that project was done. And I think we all left this meeting thinking that there was going to be money to do the things that we felt like were valid things to do. So I'm looking at this as, is this a valid thing to do? Not, do I like this project better? And one of the things that we asked David to do was to give us those projects that had time sensitivity. So, for example, Michael, in your subcommittee, there was a suggestion, or one of the things listed was a fifth senior wellness center. And we haven't started on 3, and we haven't started on 4, so it would be hard for me to even think about a 5th one was time sensitive. I'm not saying as to the validity of it, I'm just saying it would be hard for me to even think about the fact that there was a time sensitivity to it. I really did feel like there was a time sensitivity to the streetcar. We had the contractors here. If we didn't do this now, we wouldn't get it completed. I didn't vote for that because I thought it was more important. I voted for it because it was timely and we had the money to do it. And that's exactly the way I feel about this. This is very timely. We have the money to do it. We all feel pretty comfortable that we're going to be able to address all of the needs of all of the subcommittees. That's not saying we'll approve them all, but it is saying that we're going to have the wherewithal to consider doing them if the case is made. From where I'm sitting, and this is not anything unusual for us, we've been looking at even before Michael's proposal, one of the things that we've wanted to ensure is that the money that we invested was going to be optimized, and we knew we were going to have operational partners to do it. So we have at every, I have attended virtually meetings of every subcommittee, and we knew that we had to do things in the park that would accommodate the operation of the park. We knew that we would have to do things in the senior wellness centers that would accommodate the need to make those centers work. investing the money and them not doing things that are important to the continuing, sustaining operation, to my way of thinking, isn't saying they're more important. It's just really the thing we want to do to ensure the success of the MAP 3 projects. And we certainly did that at the State Fair. I mean, we certainly wanted to do the things that we needed to do in a timely fashion to make sure it worked and get it ready for the new fair. So I'm saying I think that David and staff have done exactly what we asked them to do. They've looked at all of these we were probably going to have the money to do all this. Here are the ones that have a timeliness sensitivity that we need to do. So I'll be voting yes on this because I believe that they've shown the time sensitivity to it.
Tom, and to end this on a lighter note, and to know that I don't take this personal, and I think most of you know me know that's true. If everyone has the faith that we're going to have the money to do all the projects, and I agree that streetcar, I agree, even though I abstained, I didn't vote against it, I abstained, then I would ask Mike if he'd be willing to hold off until the end, until we see how much money we have. I say that in jest. You all are.
I get it.
It was supposed to be a lighthearted.
Sure. Well, anybody else want to be heard? We have a motion and a second. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. All right. The resolution is adopted and approved. The next item is item 19, new business. David, do you have any new business?
No, sir, we don't have anything.
All right. Any member have any new business? Cecilia. All right. Let's go to item 20, and that would be the subcommittee reports. And Cecilia,
Yes.
you're recognized.
I am so sorry. I'm due to another board meeting, so I was trying to move quickly. So, in regards to the Senior Wellness Committee, we met yesterday. We didn't have a quorum at first, but then we ended up with a quorum. Happened for us. And so we had a discussion and we had a presentation from Senior Wellness Center number 1. I know I spoke about this at the last advisory council meeting, but what they shared with us was a concern about addressing the over 600-person average daily attendance right now. Apparently, it's the only indoor saltwater pool on the north side because it's packed all of the time. And so what they are suggesting is that we create some additional amenities that may draw some interest away from the pool, so we can work that out. In addition, increase some parking spaces, and some other outdoor pieces. We heard from them at the last, like I said, the committee meeting, and what we'd like to be able to do is at the next meeting have a more formal presentation to decide if we can advance this as well in regards to what we'd like to see with the surplus dollars for the Senior Wellness Center.
Well, David, there's no procedural reason that they can't come in and ask for something to be added to the list, is there?
No, sir. We are going to meet with the operator and go over some of their costs that they presented and see if we can get comfortable with that and bring it to this board next month.
That'd be great. And what you're asking is that we direct staff to bring that proposal with the view of should it be added to our list of things to use excess money for.
Correct. I think we have to have another discussion as a committee.
Okay.
But that discussion needs to be more formal. Like I said, we took a proposal, which is just a general idea about what the cost might be, and we do need the MAPS staff to firm those up for us because we're not really sure about everything that was included, so that we do have a firm number, and then that piece will definitely have to be a topic of conversation in our committee meeting.
Okay. David, you all can do that, right? Yes. All right. Then any other subcommittee want to be heard? All right, that brings us to...
I just have a...
Oh, I'm sorry.
Are you going to cover the grand opening for the streetcar?
I was not.
Okay, well, I will then.
plan?
So mark your calendar, and it's, I think we're We're forging ahead with the date on the grand opening of the streetcar of December 14th. That's a Friday at 10 a.m. at Leadership Square. So a lot of people have been involved in making what sounds like it's going to be a pretty fantastic grand opening and ribbon cutting. So I want to make sure everybody here is invited and knows that. So December 14th, 10 a.m. So. Yeah.
You bet. Thank you, Nathaniel. Any other subcommittee? All right, then. David, anything additional under item 21?
I do have a couple of things. As far as the convention center, there's a whole lot of activity down there, and I wanted to point out that just late last week they started coming up out of the ground. So we have vertical elements in the air, and that's the stairwell that's going into the concrete structure. So if you're interested in that. And then also for the park, tomorrow morning we have the first tree that's going to be planted. So that's a big deal with the park. It would have been planted earlier this week, but it rained a little bit, so it's been too muddy. And then we talked about streetcars. We're getting very close to completion on the main line on that. So everything's going good.
Well, that's all good news. All right, then. Any other comments from the board or staff? All right, we have an opportunity now for anyone here that's a citizen that would like to make a comment or be heard by the board. Any citizens here want to be heard? If not, that brings us to item 23. Michael Adams has moved that we adjourn, seconded by Cecilia. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you for your attendance.